All right, so we did start just a little bit of review over day 3. Today I'm going to do part 2 of that. I want you to write this on your board and try to find out. It says the scale on a map is 3 centimeters, and for every 3 centimeters, it equals 21 meters. The distance on the map between Maple Street and Hickory Road is 12 centimeters. So I want you guys to try to figure out what the actual distance between the roads might be. Okay, so the last time we were talking through problems like this, I told you about a proportion. If you remember, a proportion is 2 fractions that equal each other. So if I were to turn this into a fraction, I could say 3 centimeters is what? 21 meters. Okay, now if I want to make it a proportion, that means over here, this has to be centimeters and this has to be meters. What else has it told us in our problem that we know, information we know? Okay, if I'm looking here, it says the distance on the map between Maple Street and Hickory Road is 12 centimeters. So I am going to plug in 12 where the centimeters part goes. Then it asks me down here, what is the actual distance between the roads? That is this down here, the mystery. Okay, so we are trying to solve for M, and instead we could just say, hey, we're trying to find this answer, so we will call it X. There's a couple different ways that we could do this. You could multiply out 3 times x equals 21 times 12. Guys, what's 21 times 12? Say again? 252. Some people told me 252 was the answer. But what do I still need to do? I have to divide by 3 in order to get that x by itself. Then what would I get? 84, what was the units? Meters. Okay, now let me show you there's always a faster way. In this case, I like to do mental math, okay? So our goal right now is to discover what x is. I have to figure out how to get from a 21 to an x. Guys, how do I get from a 3 to a 4? Times 4. If I multiply the top by 4, I have to multiply the bottom by 4. And in this case, this is a lot faster. What is 21 times 4? 84. It is 84 miles. How many of you would say you got your answer and you did it one of those 2 ways?
I mean, I didn't do like the...
Okay, so this one is similar to what we just did. On a scale, on a map, 5 centimeters equals 32 miles, okay? So if I wanted to make a proportion, 5 centimeters equals 32 miles. So making our proportion, the other one has to also be centimeters per mile, okay, to make them equivalent. The distance on the map between Blaze Pizza and Dreamette is 7 centimeters. So should I put that 7 on the top or the bottom of the other fraction? On the top. Okay, centimeters per, and now it's asking us what's the actual distance between the 2 places. This is going to be found in miles. Since we don't know how many miles yet, I'm going to put it as an X. Does this look familiar?
Yes.
Okay, so you can do cross multiplication if you wanted to. 5x, so 5 times x, equals, and then you've got to multiply those 2 together. Guys, what is 32 times 7? 224?
Yeah.
Okay, equals 5x. Girls, how do I get x by itself?
You divide by 5.
Divide by 5 on both sides. When you do it, what do you get? 44.8 what? Miles. That is correct. Does it ask you to round it? No, so you don't want to round it unless it asks you to do so. But just know on this one, it says these are the low temperatures for the week of January. Find the mean low temperature for the week. Guys, what does mean mean?
The middle.
Not the middle.
The average.
It is another word for average. When you are finding the average of something, what do you have to do?
Add and divide.
Add up all the numbers. So for those of you who haven't done it yet, you want to add all of those numbers. When you added up all those numbers, what did you get? 196. Now remember, a mean needs to come in between the lowest number of the data set and the highest number of the data set. Guys, what's the lowest number of this data set?
22.
Okay, so 22. And what's the highest number? 35. Which means your answer has to come in between 22 and 35. How many of you would say, yes, my answer came in between those two? All right, what was the answer when you took 196 and divided it by, there were 7 numbers in this data set. What's that answer? 28. Not 28%. What should it be, guys? 28 degrees. All right, guys, so this problem, you guys can put your boards down. This problem is very similar to the other one, but now it's talking about high temperatures, okay? So help me with this. If we are finding the mean, remind me again, what does mean mean? Average. And the average has to be in between the smallest and the largest number. Guys, what's the smallest number here? Smallest?
88.
88. What's the largest? 101. Your answer has to come in between those two. First things first, we have to add up all the numbers in the data set. When you added it up, what'd you get?
665.
Okay, then you take those degrees and you divide it by?
7.
Why by 7?
There's 7 total.
There are 7 total numbers, or there were 7 total days in our data set. When you did all of that and you divided it out, what'd you get?
95 degrees.
95 degrees is correct. Okay, so the next one says, there were 4 youth activities over the summer. The number of students who attended the first 3 activities is shown. So, that's the first one. The first one was how many, guys? Everyone look at the board.
30.
How many? 30. The second one was how many?
15.
The third one?
23.
The fourth one?
68. 20.
We don't know. The fourth one is a mystery. Okay, let's keep going. The mean number of students. Guys, what does mean mean?
All of them added together.
The average. So I have to add them all up, and is that it? I just add them? Then I have to divide by?
4.
Why by 4?
Because there's 4 activities.
Because there were 4 activities. So I am going to have to add up 30 plus 15 plus 23 plus x. Now here's the deal. Let's keep reading. The mean number of students at all the activities was 20. So that means all of this right here is going to equal 20. Okay, so there's some work that I can do up here. I can add those numbers together. When I add 30 plus 15 plus 23, what do I get?
68.
Okay, so now we have 68 plus x. I still have to divide it by 4 because I'm finding the average. And all of that equals 20. Now, we've talked about this rule of PEMDAS. If my whole goal is to get x by itself, the 68 and the 4 are not leaving it alone on that left side right now. So what do you think I should get rid of first, according to PEMDAS? The 68 or the 4?
The 68.
The 68, what am I doing to the 68?
Adding. Oh, wait, no.
So I would have to subtract it. Subtract is the very last part of PEMDAS.
Oh, so you would get divide by the 4.
I am going to get rid of divide by 4. Guys, what's the opposite of divide by 4?
Add by 4. Multiply by 4.
Multiply by 4. So I'm going to multiply that side by 4, which means I have to multiply that side by 4. What is 4 divided by 4?
1.
1. So this kind of cancels out and it just means 1. So I'm left with on the left side 1 times 68 plus x, which is just a 68 plus x. And guys, what's 20 times 4? 80. How do I get x by itself? Subtract by
68.
on both sides. And when you subtract that, what do you get?
X equals 80.
12 what?
Degree. Oh my gosh. Students.
People or students, I will take either one.
Wait, is there no...
All right, so for this next problem, it's done exactly the same way. There were 6 bags of candy at the store. The number of pieces of candy in the first 5 bags are shown below. Once again, you want to try to find the mean number of pieces of candy, or no, sorry, we know the mean number of candies was 22. So your goal is to find out how many were here in the 6th bag. Once again, you're going to do it the same exact way we just did our last problem. Okay, so just like we talked about before, guys, when you find the mean or you find the average, Reagan, what does it mean? How do you find the average of something?
You add all your numbers up and whatever total amount of numbers that you have, you divide that by the sum of all those numbers.
Okay, very good. So here's what I just saw most of you did. You added up the numbers you saw here. How many of you would say you did that? When you added that, what did you guys get?
I got 108.
108, is that correct? 102. Now, here's the deal, guys. That is only how many numbers?
5.
That's only 5 numbers. How many bags of candy did it say there were? We are trying to figure out the mystery bag number 6, which means I also have to add in the mystery number. That's the step that most of you forgot. I saw a lot of you guys took that 102 and you divided it by either 5 or by 6. But you have to add in the mystery number that we don't know about. Divide that by, now there's 6 total numbers. And we know the mean is supposed to be 22. Okay? Try that now. If you didn't get it before, I want everyone to try it now. All right, so when I added up all those numbers, you guys had just told me it's 102 plus x divided by 6 equals 22. What should I do first? Subtract the 106 or multiply that 6?
Multiply by 6.
Good job. According to PEMDAS, I have to multiply by 6 first, so I multiply by 6 on this side and on that side. Guys, let's look at this. What is 6 divided by 6? 1, so that cancels out, and on the left side, I am left with 102 plus x equals, what's 22 times 6?
132.
132. Now, Sierra, what do I do to get that by itself? Good job. I take away 102 from both sides. And I'm left with what, guys?
30. Oh, sorry.
30 what?
Pieces of candy.
30 pieces of candy. Okay, so this question says if you biked an average of 29 miles per day, about how many days would a ride of 200 miles take you? When you see that it says about how many days, that means I want it to be a whole number, okay? So as you're working this out, try to get a whole number to tell me how many days you think it would be. Okay, so as we're doing this, I can see a lot of you seem kind of stumped. Many times what I want you to do is try to go back to the proportions. Remember, a proportion is 2 fractions that equal each other. So let's talk about this, guys. 29 miles. How long does it take you to do 29 miles?
A day.
1 day. So that means the other side, what do the units need to be?
Miles. The same. Miles and days.
The same, miles and days. What other piece of information do I know?
200 miles.
200 miles. Okay, so does the 200 miles need to go on the top or the bottom?
Top.
On the top, because that's where the miles are. Now it asks us how many days. So if it's asking us how many days, that means this number on the bottom is a mystery. We don't know. A couple different ways you can do this. We can do this with cross products, or we can do it with finding a missing link, okay? So guys, if I find this way right here, what do I need to do with the 29 and the x?
Need some,
I need to multiply them, okay? So we've got 29 times x equals, what are we going to do with these two right here?
200 multiply.
Multiply them. Guys, what's 200 times 1?
200.
200. Very good. Now, Luke, how do I get x by itself?
You divide by 29.
Very good. We've got to divide by 29 on both sides. How many of you would say you ended up doing that part right there? Guys, what is 200 divided by 29? 6.8965. It's a number that just keeps going, which is why this problem asked us about how many days. So if I was to round that, what would that round to? Very good. So it would be about 7 days. All right, let me see your problems on your board. All right, so listen, let's talk about that. Another method that she said here, she's trying to figure it out, okay? Trying to add 29 multiple times. Day 1 was how many miles? 29. So if I added 29 more miles the next time, class, help me with this method the way that Ellie just did it. What would the next number be for 2 days?
58.
58. Okay, have I gotten to the 200 that I wanted? No. Okay, so let's keep going. It wasn't 2 days. What would 3 days be?
87.
All right, so now we've got, this is 87. Is that the 200 I want? No, let's keep going. How much would 4 days be?
116.
116. Everyone do this with me so that you can see. On your MAPS test, there are multiple ways you guys can do these problems, and I do not care how you get them. All of it's going to be multiple choice, so you just look to see which answer seems best. Day 5, what would that be?
145.
All right, so she said it was 145. Am I there yet? No, you want to keep going until you get to 200 or go past 200. All right, day 6, what would that be?
174.
174. Let's keep going. What would 7 be? 203. Did I surpass 200?
Yes.
Yes, so here's the deal. If you did it this way, the way she's kind of guessing, which one's closer, day 6 or day 7 to 200? Day 7. So that would be another good way, if you couldn't think of the proportions, to kind of do the guessing game. And it looks like she still got to 7 days via the guessing game. All right, final question for today. If you ran an average of 8 miles per day, so doing it the same way that I did it before, 8 miles in 1 day, it asks how many days, so we're trying to figure out how many days, would it be for 70 miles total? Once again, we could work it out like we just did. 8 times x equals, multiply 70 times 1, which is 70. Now you're dividing by 8 on both sides. When you do that, what do you get? 8.75. Now, that would not be an answer. It's asking you right here about how many days. So if I rounded that, what would it be?
9.
Okay, it would be 9 days.
It's okay.
All right, I hope that was helpful for you today.